Hey now, cats, we're back again on Movie Snobs. If you haven't, it's the first time you tuned in, or sixth time, seventh time you tuned in?
Seventh was like the eighth episode. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is the eighth. Who knows? Who the fuck knows? But I am actually Balls from Ellwood. This is my ride or die, Mr. Matt Wheels Onesti. And we do a little show called Movie Snobs. Would you like to tell the audience about it a little bit there, sir?
One of the most fascinating shows you will ever
Excuse
watch
me.
on the internet, where two friends give each other movies that the other has not seen, forcing the other to watch the movie, come back, and then record a podcast talking about said movie until somebody dies.
Yes.
That is sort of the end game. We just sort of go until one of us runs out of steam, and then it's over. It's one of the greatest shows that you'll ever watch.
It is. I mean, I don't want to brag or nothing, but we're pretty awesome. But
Every one of the episodes before this has probably been one of the greatest episodes ever. And we haven't even recorded this one yet. And I can already tell you, it's going to be the greatest episode we've ever recorded.
I know we're getting great reviews. We're not even done yet. But anywho, I'm gonna start first. This week we're pitting two different films against each other. I gave Mr. Matt Wales Onesti a French slasher film called Haute Tension, or over here, High Tension.
That was a really good French accent, by the way, Balls. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Mr. Wheels. I appreciate it. And then I actually had a film he gave me called Inside Llewyn Davis. So I'm going to start out, and most of the time it works out, Wheels. Sometimes I like some of the stuff you turn on me onto. This, however, was not one of those times.
Oh,
In fact, she.
no.
Please hang me.
Oh my God. Y'all don't like folk music.
Oh, dude, I was ready to folk my eyes out.
Oh no. Oh, okay, go.
Well, here I started. I tell you what, I went in with very open expectations of this film. From the trailer that I watched, I'm like, I love the Coen Brothers. I usually like most everything they do. The trailer to me looked pretty interesting. I always like that, you know, down in his luck rocker thing, and but I can tell you exactly. I really wanted to like this film. I went in high expectations. Maybe that was the problem, but I'll be honest with you. I think the biggest problem I had with this movie was I didn't understand what the point of it was. As I'm watching through I'm watching this whole movie, and like I probably said probably 10 times to myself, the fuck is the point of this movie? Like, I mean, and then I had to look it up. So then I looked it up, and I'm like, okay, but like, I mean, I read that it's like he's in purgatory. It's like his purgatory or some artsy indie fartsy bullshit.
I wouldn't even go that far with it. I wouldn't even go that far with it as purgatory. It's always registered to me as sort of this endless cycle of the struggling artist, sort of this artist who can't quite get anywhere, who is trying to get somewhere, but can't quite get out of their own way, or reality and just sort of the nature of being an artist, not allowing everyone to move on. And I think that was sort of because I'm not a huge fan of the purgatory, because I've read that before, and I'm not because that Coen Brothers never really did that kind of shit. But
Yeah,
it's really the story of the
I
artist.
mean, why? I don't know if it's because of the spoiler alert, everybody. I don't know if it's because the ending repeats, and that's what people are talking about. Like, but I'll be honest with you, dude. I think I probably would have enjoyed this film a lot better had the main character been even remotely likable or connectable. Like, I'm just like, I can't. I'm like, every time I'm watching this dude, I'm like, I don't like this guy. Maybe he'll win me over, and then he finds a way to be a bigger piece of shit, and I'm just like, I don't like this guy at all. Like
That's where I get the he can't get out of his own way, where he has all these people around him who are like trying to show him niceness and empathy, and he
and
just
he
can't
pisses on every single
he
one.
can't
Like,
reciprocate it. And then in a moment where he's finally bearing his soul to someone, it's almost thrown right back at him. I still think about that scene where he's at the Gate of Horn talking to F. Murray Abraham.
which
And
is like the very end almost. I
that
mean,
is like it's practically the end of the movie. I think about that scene constantly because that is one of the coldest fucking things ever. He has just bared his soul, and all F. Murray Abraham, I think the character, I think it was supposed to be Bud Grossman, if I remember the name correctly, where he's just like, yeah, I don't see the money in it.
I don't see the money here. Yeah, that was a great line.
I don't see the money. I don't see money here. Go get yourself a partner. When his partner had just killed himself like a year prior. Like,
but that's
that was the whole, I still think about that scene. I've seen the movie a lot, but I think about that scene constantly.
That's the thing, though. Like in a character, I was reading reviews because I'm like, maybe it's just me and my, this isn't, self-admittedly my, normal sort of thing. So maybe it's just me. So I'm reading reviews and everyone's like, this movie is, dark and moving and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it doesn't, whenever he finally gets the big fuck you at the end, I'm like, I still don't care because he's such a douchebag. Like, it didn't fucking move me at all. It didn't move my needle in the slightest. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
you can argue he kind of got what was coming to him, or you can argue that it's sort of just the nature of the reality he lives in, where nothing will ever go right. Because he makes every wrong decision. I mean, even think of the what was the scene where he gets paid for that fucking ridiculous song he made with Timberlake and Adam Driver, where they're singing and Adam Driver is just like yelling.
Yeah.
That's another song that will pop into my head at least weekly. Like every single time there's a countdown, Mr. Kennedy, like at least once a week.
I couldn't believe that was Adam Driver. Like I was pretty shocked by that. I was like that. I'm thinking they have pictures of Timberlake and like Nazi regalia because I don't know how they blackmailed him to be in that fucking movie for fucking 10 minutes. Like, and it was a whole 8.5, maybe 10 minutes tops. The
Coen brothers, man, the Coen brothers can pull off just about anything you need.
And then I was reading on the internet that I didn't even catch. Like, there's supposed to be a correlation between the cat's him and then Gene's everything that he's ever wanted. And I'm like, it just kind of fell short on me. I don't really know if you feel that way, but
yeah, it's almost like so I don't know. There's sometimes where like I had a weird emotional because okay. So you know how we have conversations where I'm like, I've only seen this movie once.
Yeah.
Or I've seen this, but this is a movie I've watched a lot. Like,
it's funny because I was watching this near the end. I'm like, how the fuck is this his favorite movie of all time? I'm like, better than Citizen Kane.
It is
better than, I'm like, this is the fucking like since the beginning of film, the invention of the moving picture. This is the be all end all of
this. Is so when I say this isn't the greatest movie ever made, but personal favorites. This is probably this is my absolute like favorite movie, or at least one of them, because I'm realizing my favorite movie is constantly changing. But I'm very drawn to sort of the artist side of this, where it's this person who clearly wants something so bad and either can't get it because the reality around him isn't allowing him to get it, or he himself is just completely and mentally incapable of getting out of his own way and actually getting what he's chasing after. This is so funny because before we started recording, we were talking about Bob Dylan and stuff, and Bob Dylan's a part of this because finally at the
he sees him going by.
Finally, when Llewyn is maybe going to get that opportunity, made like after getting turned down in Chicago, comes back, goes and does in the Village, does one of the better sets that he's done, only for Bob Dylan to go up right after him. And if you know about folk history, in real life, like that was the moment where Bob Dylan, the New York Times saw Bob Dylan, and then they wrote the article about him, and then it skyrocketed him. So this is like another final fucking knife to Llewyn Davis, where in a moment where he may finally have a way to get out, Bob Dylan comes along, and then and now he's the famous one. But there's a Bob Dylan line in, I think it's Mr. Tambourine Man, where it's like a line, there's a shadow you're seeing that he's chasing. This to me is the movie of that. where it's almost an entire movie of this guy chasing a shadow, and he doesn't quite understand what that shadow is or what the point of it is. And he's kind of a turd. He's a turd to the people around him. He's a turd to the people who love him. I mean, the scenes with his sister are rough, and they're rough on purpose. Like when she's bringing him the box and shit, and he's just like, throw all that shit out. Like, I don't want any of that. And she's like, well, this is stuff about being a merchant marine. He goes, I don't want to be just another person. That is like one of those lines. That's another one of those lines I constantly think about, especially as I'm pursuing like comedy and stuff, where like I have to stop myself when I have those thoughts, and it's like, yeah, what's wrong with just being another person? What's it like? What makes being an artist? What has you being so elite as an artist, where you feel that you're better than someone else, or that your life is more meaningful than someone else who may just be working a regular job? And I think those are like really interesting lines that like I find myself constantly thinking about, because it's such a struggle. This, and again, like we already talked about the scene with where he's talking to F. Murray Abraham. That's like a nightmare. That is like a nightmare scenario, to finally like go out of your way, travel to this promised land, to meet someone that you respect, or who is a respected voice in the industry, only for them to tell you there's no money in it. I mean, that's a fucking nightmare. But yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it. That makes me so sad, though. That is one of my favorite movies.
I did have one more beef, because I know we're running out of time.
Keep going with the beefs. Keep going with the beefs, because I'll keep telling you reasons why I love it. And I want to hear the reasons.
Okay, well, explain this one to me then. They had go through this trouble of setting up a subplot of him having a child he doesn't know about, and then they completely don't ever mention it ever fucking again. I'm just like,
because he got her the money, and she got the abortion.
Mm-hmm.
but still, like they said, like it's such a big dramatic fucking scene. He's like, I have a kid. Oh my god. And then it's just like, meh.
With her, with Carrie Mulligan yelling at him, telling him, I think you should just live in a giant condom. You're a piece of shit.
I will tell you, actually, in honesty, there is things I did like about it. And you actually just mentioned one of them. I feel like the strongest scenes that I actually enjoyed was the exchange between him and her. Like, I thought that stuff was pretty dynamic. I just the whole, the rapid fire dynamic between them two. I really wish I kind of seen more of that. Like, you know what I mean? And not only that, I mean, it's funny that like it did make me think though, like whenever you see a person like that, you always wonder when you see a woman that gets like caught up with somebody that is bad for them, like how that lead up is. Like, I mean, and I think that movie shows you a good representation of of that happening, because I mean, they clearly on some element don't even like each other, but they are both lonely. So like, I mean,
and they both seemingly went through a traumatic experience. You got to remember that, because like Llewyn is super depressed the entire episode. He is not as much as I was. His partner killed himself, and then so like he's carrying this weight around with him the entire time.
I get why his partner killed himself now. I was pretty close. I'm going to throw myself off the Koppel Bridge when I go to Ellwood next time. I mean,
so when you hear Fairly Well, you don't cry. You just want to jump off of a bridge.
Oh God, dude! Like them songs were like nails in the chalkboard.
Which is really funny, because as I gave you this movie, I was like, wait a minute, Balls fucking hates folk music. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not going to lie to you. Like all that stuff sounds like. I mean, this is the same dude that told you can make any song funny by singing it like Bob Dylan. So I mean, and it's true. See, you're laughing and you didn't even sing one yet. Like we did that the whole way up.
Under my umbrella.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I told you. I was singing Hootie and the Blowfish to Francisco on the way up to New Jersey, and he was almost ready to wreck the car. I was like, "Shut up, man, about a fence. I don't want to be with you."
Oh God damn it! Okay, so I didn't get a cry out of you with this one. This wasn't a crying movie.
No.
God damn.
Sorry, man. I have to say you've had some
bit, but it wasn't for the reasons you wanted to
yeah, dude. I got honestly, it didn't emotionally move my needle at all. I was just like, How the fuck does he like this movie? What a boring, pretentious piece of shit.
Then that is probably one of the best ways I've ever been described, is a boring, pretentious.
No, no, not you. I mean, but I was actually, I'm like, did the Coen brothers really make this?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm just like, wow.
And it is, seriously, I will still die on this hill. It is still my favorite Coen Brothers movie. And it is still absolutely one of my favorites. If you're an artist, if you're like a, up and coming entertainer or something, recommend it. Oh, I recommend it big time. I'm so sorry, Paul.
No, be sorry, dude. I'll be honest with you. It always, I have to say, leading up to the show, it always like it rips my heart out that I have to like be honest with it. I didn't like something because I know you're as passionate as I am, and you hold that shit so high like I do that like it doesn't. I don't get any pleasure in any way like ripping your heart out. Like I really don't. Like it actually gives me anxiety for like 2 days before we shoot the show because I'm like, oh man, I gotta fucking tell him I didn't like this movie.
Yeah, it's like I gotta break his heart. I really don't want to break his heart.
Yeah, but, I mean, when we swore when we started this that we'll be 100% honest with each other, and I can't not do that. So like, I don't ever want to tell you what you want to hear. And there has been many instances where I really did like the stuff you recommended, which I would be 100% never inclined to watch any of that, nor would I ever thought I would have liked it. So there's been a lot of positive things that come out, like Mikey and Nikki, dude. I think that's one of the best films I've ever seen. I fucking loved it. So, and then this time I'm like, yeah, not so much. But it's no Mikey and Nikki. That's my review. So I mean, is it the worst thing that you've ever made me watch? No, not at all.
Just a reminder of viewers.
Beach, summer party vacation fucking is gonna be that still fucking haunts my nightmares and dreams. But
yeah, for those of you who haven't seen the first episode, I forced Balls to watch me on Churhulo's Holiday, which is a Jacques Tati's first movie. Well, actually not, it's like his second movie. I decided to go with that one as my Jacques Tati introduction with Balls. And I don't think he'll ever watch a French comedy ever again.
No. I'd rather watch Flies Fuck. But anyway. But anyway, I mean, enough about this film. I recommended a little film called Hot Tension to Wheels.
Hot tension, high tension.
Let's talk about your feelings on that.
Which I'm not gonna lie to you, before I get into this, I need to tell the story about trying to fucking get my hands on this movie and watching it, because holy shit, I have never seen a movie where whoever distributed this tried so hard to get people to watch the dubbed. Okay, so Lionsgate did this. So Lionsgate apparently has gone out of their way to try and make this movie only watchable via dub. And holy shit, dubbing is the worst way to watch a movie.
Oh yeah.
Ever.
I've only ever seen it in French with subtitles. I won't fuck with a dub. So
I almost had a heart attack because I couldn't get a stream of this movie that wasn't dubbed, and I was freaking out. So I was like, balls, I cannot watch this movie dubbed. For those of you who watch this, like, I think the dub version's on Prime. It is literally the word, like, dubbing is bad in general. This dubbing is like the voices don't even match the actor's emotion at all. Like they're not even trying to match it. It's hilarious. And then so I got a cheap copy, like a DVD for it. And when I turned it on, for some reason, it was set to the dub, and I almost didn't watch the movie. But then I went in and realized that you could change and watch. So I finally got to watch this movie.
And I'm sure it was a different experience entirely.
Dude, it's insane. I can't get over how bad the dub is for this movie. Lionsgate shouldn't be allowed to make movies after watching a fucking dub that was so bad. But on to the movie. I finally got to watch this movie. And that's a suspenseful movie. High Tension lived up to its name. It is an unbelievably suspenseful movie. It was cool. It was a cool, like, okay, so everybody, you got to remember, we're going to give spoilers. a ton of spoilers for everything that we're watching. There is no way that I could talk about this movie without mentioning the spoiler that happened in
It would be impossible.
Because everything that I'm going to say, it involves this twist, and the twist in this movie was that there wasn't actually a killer. It was the lady. It was Marie, and she was the killer the entire time. And I don't know how I feel about the twist.
That's
I
exactly.
don't. Okay,
Let me
so
stop
let me
you for a second. That's exactly why I gave you this film, because this film is pretty heralded in the horror community and people do love it a lot. But that being said, everybody is equally divided. That's why I gave it to you. I love movies that are divisive because people either love the ending or they hate the ending. And people argue about it constantly. And people argue about, pretty every aspect of it. So like that was one of the main reasons I wanted you to watch this movie so I can hear your take on it.
Okay, so I'm going to go through it.
A lot of people say that in the beginning, whenever the killer first strikes, it's all motivated from sexuality because she's masturbating in the bed.
The whole thing is sexual. Like every bit of it is sexuality. It's all sexual based.
Yeah, so a lot of people argue that's where it comes, which I believe that's what I took from it. And a lot of people's like, no. And I'm like, how could you not come to that conclusion? Because after she has an orgasm, that's when the shit fucking takes off. So it's like,
which, by the way, you're bringing that scene up. Which up until I finally knew what the twist was, the only thing I could think about was, wow, Maria's living one of my lifelong absolute fucking nightmares, and that's masturbating into my pants and then having to go out into public and deal with people. That is just like, I feel like
I never thought about that actually.
You know what I mean? Like, think about like she rubbed one and then like she's just asked her fucking shit. That's why the 911 operator was being so shitty to her, because like she's like, send the police, and he's like, you clearly just masturbated in your pants. I'm not going to help you. Which that's a nightmare. You know what I mean? Like, but okay, so this was a legitimately terrifying movie. Like I haven't felt as uncomfortable watching a family get dismembered and tormented since I watched the movie Funny Games. I know we've talked about Funny Games before. Oh, yeah. Michael Haneke, this wasn't as extreme and as terrifying as that, but it gave me that like same sort of uneasiness because it was like this systemic dismembering of this family and everything that they love. I thought the way that suspense was built throughout this movie was amazing. The camera work was wild. I am a really big fan of the lingering shot where you're doing this follow shot on the subject and the camera is either going a little bit faster than the subject or sticking behind a little bit extra, because it allows the viewer to almost peep around corners or see things that maybe the character doesn't see. And like, the use of that shot and the mirror shots and like, it built tension in a way that I thought was really cool. And I thought it was really awesome. Knowing with how the twist went, I think this was a really cool take. This felt like a movie that, like, based on the twist that happens at the end, I felt like it was almost making fun of a couple of things. Like, I feel like it was making fun of almost like this final girl trope in horror movies, which you've seen more than I have, so I can't really even explain the final girl trope as well. But I feel like it was kind of taking a stab at that and sort of this, like, imposing Michael Myers character, where it's almost this like serial killer who is just like this very imposing physically. Nobody can really like take him down.
Force.
Like this unstoppable force type deal. And I think where the twist is kind of cool is because of the twist, it tells you that maybe this movie is kind of making fun of those tropes. And then sort of creates this new type of killer, which is just like a schizophrenic killing machine, which is kind of interesting. But here's kind of bringing all that around, I don't know how I feel about the twist, because I don't know how I feel about this idea that because of the twist, it invalidates every scene that you've seen in the movie. Like
Yeah, a lot of people
everything that
wrestle
you
with that. Like I sort of felt that way the first time I seen it, but on a repeat viewings, like I kind of I almost think that's kind of cool. Like
well, okay, so here's what makes it kind of cool, because like it invalidates everything. The only way that it was reconciled was through closed circuit footage when the homicide detector are looking at it. But I guess what makes it kind of cool is for like the first chunk of the movie, especially when like the serial killer comes in, I just kept thinking to myself, like, wow, these people have zero fucking survival instincts. Like these people have zero survival instincts. Like what? Like okay, the dad is screaming and being murdered, but like nobody can hear it. Like the mother is like in a dead sleep. I think Alex like had earbuds. I think they showed her wearing earbuds or something.
yeah, she was
Like
listening to music or
but
something.
like the kid didn't even come out until way later. And then I'm thinking, like, well, why didn't Marie go and team up with the mother? They could have taken this guy down. All that
But then it all
makes
makes sense.
sense. It all makes sense at the end when the twist finally happens. But I don't know. I get the vibe. Like it feels like one of those things where I wonder if it was done just for the sake of it being done. Because I'm genuinely having a hard time trying to figure out what is this story? Is this story just a slasher pick to show as much violence and dismemberment? Or like is this let me say I wrote like, was this a love story? Like was this like a love story gone wrong? Was this one of the most like was this like a weird telling of the hey, so I finally introduced my parents to my significant other, and you'll never guess what she did. Like I don't know.
I almost think like she had she always had a secret thing for her, but her part, her friend, was straight. So like I almost think there was that frustration. So like I mean,
Which that's I guess that's a vibe. Like I didn't pick up on that for some reason. I thought they were a couple.
no.
Where they weren't a couple. Like I shit you not, I thought they were a couple for like
At first, in the beginning, it sort of feels that way.
yeah, for the first third of the movie, I thought they were a couple.
Yeah, so I could see how you would say that, but like then, yeah, they actually not. Like she had, I believe there's at least one scene where they reference like her dating dudes and like so I mean
Which
that's
I guess that doesn't register like with us because like it's just like the bisexuality is just like it just you know what I mean. So like it's not out of the ordinary for two ladies to be in a relationship who've had a male boifriend. So I guess like that.
I mean, see, at the time this movie was released, though, that was still kind of taboo.
Which that makes it. This was like early 2000s, I think.
Yeah,
If I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
it's still very taboo, which I don't know why, but I mean,
Because it seemed like a love story, either a love story gone awry, but I guess I do see that now where it's Marie has feelings for Alex
yeah.
and Alex wasn't reciprocating it, so she killed her entire family.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's a fucked up love story. Like, I mean, me self-admittedly as a horror fan, when I seen it the first time, I'm like, this is a fucking awesome slasher movie. But under repeat viewings, I'm like, it's way beyond that. And then the guy that did the effects did a lot of old Italian movies for like Fulci and like a lot of famous Italian directors, which that's why it's that level of gore is it's really good and like
oh, it is high intensity gore.
and I almost feel like this was like an homage to Italian horror too, because Italian horror focuses more, probably less on a cohesive story and more on just telling a story, if that makes sense. Like, so I think that's why the whole, flip flop and like, the whole, the way the ending is, it's but like it did really frustrate me the first time I seen that though, because I was like you, I'm on the fence and I'm like, man, this movie was incredible up to the ending, but then under further viewings, I almost appreciate the ending more now, like because I'm like because it is kind of so experimental at the time it really was, and it is so kind of out of the ordinary, and it does remind me a lot of Italian horror because like they'll do things everything's not beginning, middle, and end. A, B, C, D, E, F. Like if you have like an A, an F, a D, a G, and then an ending, like that's but it still tells a good story. That's more Italian horror than anything. Which I almost feel like this was a lot big love letter to that kind of stuff. Like and like so, yeah, I appreciate it more over time. Like the more I seen it, the more I really found the more appreciation for the
Yeah, we're
ending.
gonna have to watch it because, like, I'm not gonna lie, my gut reaction is like, it's cool. Like, I think it's a cool movie. Like, I think it's good. And I'm with you where it is, where I was like, I was really, really into it. And then when the twist happens, I felt like, I don't know, I felt like everything that I had watched or thought, it felt invalidated. Like, it felt
Yeah.
like
I
everything,
felt
like,
that way the first time I seen it, and like I
where then
wrestled
it's like,
with
what
it.
the fuck is the point of this movie then? Like,
Exactly.
if
Like
nothing, like, if everything that happened before this isn't actually what happened, then why the fuck am I even watching this movie?
yeah. I
But
totally understand that. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised that you even like this in any capacity because I thought for sure you would hate this movie.
so I'm weird. Like, even when I don't like a movie, I still can find cool shit in it. And this one had a lot of cool shit. I mean, like, it had like puppies and decapitations and hot ladies masturbating. Like, that's cool. That's awesome. I guess if we're like, but um I don't know. Like, I thought it was cool. I would definitely recommend this to somebody. Like, if someone was like, I'm looking for a slasher pick or something that's like gory and violent and like wild, this fits all of those. I mean, this fits all of that. It was nuts.
Yeah, my favorite reason to recommend this film though is to get people's take on the psychology of it, like the ending, like and because like everybody, it seems like it's fun because like everyone I talk to has their own take, their own reasoning, their own psychology, their own meaning of the ending. So if you go into all the like groups, every like it is extremely divided, but everybody has their own take on it. It's fascinating to me, and I love divisive films like that that make people talk. Like I think Alexander Aja was more inclined to want to make a film that people will want to talk about and like argue about.
It's
I
in
always find
listen,
it.
I really don't know how I feel about this movie. I'm
See, I
not
like
gonna
that
say I
though.
loved
I
it.
think
I'm
that's
not,
cool. I like that.
yeah, but it's one of the, this is an interesting movie. And I think that's a cool thing. I think this is a very interesting movie. And the more that we sit here and talk about it and think about it, like, yeah, this really did this because this is a love story. Like, this is a love story. This is a form of a love story.
Gone horribly wrong.
And I think for even the time that he's telling this, I'm actually really impressed with someone pulling the story off when they did, and how he did it, and the subject matter around it. It's practically a lesbian slasher film.
Yeah.
And it really does, like, yeah, I mean, this
In an age where that shit wasn't cool.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's a very risk-taking thing at the time. Well, and
And
because he's actually a pretty renowned director now.
yeah, I kind of want to see some more. I'm definitely curious now of other stuff that he's made.
Oh, I mean, that's pretty much that's flattery to me then, dude. I mean,
I mean, when I was looking at this movie, like, I saw he was getting notes from like Luc Besson, which I think is pretty sick. Like, they were gonna make, like, I saw there was a note on IMDb where they were talking about making a whole other movie where it was going to be the real events
that
happens, like, as a movie.
Kind of glad that didn't happen though.
No, that would be lame as shit.
That would almost kind of count. That would kind of like dilute the whole first movie, I think. So
big time, because I already feel like the first movie diluted itself, so I don't know why you would want to do that.
Yeah. That just I think when you ever explain the boogeyman, it's no longer scary. So I mean,
but it was cool. I mean, like, it's funny. We just did a Coen Brothers movie. The serial killer kind of reminded me of like the Anton Chigurh character from No Country for Old Men.
I could see
like
that.
way scarier. But No Country for Old
Philippe
Men.
Nahone, he's a scary looking dude in real life.
No Country came after. It was like a year or two after this movie.
Correct.
So what did it? If anything, they could have been inspired from that. But like that, I like the serial killer because he that was a menacing fucking dude. Like that was a really menacing guy.
Yeah, it is pretty unnerving when you do see any of that stuff happen. So I mean,
But yeah,
I always find home invasion stuff scary no matter who it is. So, I mean,
oh yeah. Well, the scariest home invasion movie so far that I've ever seen in my life, I already brought it up, was Funny Games.
yeah, I'm a fan.
That shit fucked with me. So I definitely watch this movie if you're curious. Watch Funny Games. That will fuck you up even more.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that, and it sounds pretty favorable. I'm pretty shocked. I didn't think you were going to have a as favorable reaction to this movie as you do. So.
Definitely, dude. I'm curious if you could show me something where I'm going to look you in the eyes and goes, balls. I fucking hated that. I am so curious because, like, I don't know.
I'm still waiting. Like, I keep trying to find one. Like,
I'm kidding. I'm ready for you to find one. Because I'm very. I don't know. I like everything. I'm like one of those nerds who I kind of like everything.
Yeah, it shocked me up to this point because you've been pretty favorable about most of the things that I've recommended you, which I'm trying to find one, that you're not. So, I mean, I'm sure it'll happen at some point. But that being said, dude, I'm glad you kind of dug it. But this is the end of this new episode of Movie Snobs. I am Balls from Ellwood. This is my ride or die Matt Wheels on Nesty. And check them out, cats. You might feel differently, but until then, we will see you next time when we pit two other movies against each other. And
we're going to do it again. We love watching movies, and this is an excuse for us to keep watching movies under the guise of being professionals.
Exactly. So we'll see you next time, cats. Peace and love.